Hi, my name is Desiree, and what I have for you is a 4-part series that is focusing all on the core. So if you've joined me up to this point, or if not, if this is your first time with me, amazing, welcome, good to see you. So now we're kind of tying everything together, right? So we had the lower body, the upper body, and now we're kind of going full Monty, incorporating it all in. So with this series, again, we'll do the ground, standing, balancing, and then some restoring. But what I want you to focus on as you move through each and every one of these videos is the importance and significance of the muscles in the core, right? And we're not just talking belly, we're talking about the multifidus, which are the muscles that run along the spine. We're talking about the glutes. We're talking about the deep, the transverse abdominal muscles. We're talking about the adductors and the abductors, and then we're also talking about the pelvic floor, right? So we're dealing with quite a bit and much more too, right? So this is in Pilates we would call this our powerhouse, right? But here, right, in this series, we're going to refer this as to our center of gravity, right? So this is what's going to help move us from shape to shape, and also help give us that extension and freedom in the rest of the body too, and the extension of the limbs. So keep that little tidbit in mind, that information. That'll go a long ways in this series, and within all of your other movement practices as well, right? So this series especially, we're definitely going to cross train a little with a bit more Pilates as well. So let's go ahead and start on our back. All right, so the knees are going to be bent, feet are on the floor. Right. And I want you to first just lengthen the back of the neck, right? So you can even take your hands to the back of the head and just lengthen through the back of the neck so the chin just barely, slightly comes back in. It's more just having that spine and this the neck in the same line as the spine, right? So let's start to shift our attention down to our pelvis, right? Even take your hands onto your hip points and start your pelvis forward and backward, going away from the body, then coming back towards the body, right? So, and then trying to isolate this movement away from everything else in the body, right? So lightly press down through the feet, right, to help control and just keep the pelvis moving. All right, now I want you to start to slow this movement down. All right, so we're going to shift from anterior tilt to posterior tilt, right? The posterior would be going back away from the body, so the back body rounds a bit more. And then the anterior tilt would be the front of the body, just rounds a bit more. Right. With this whole series, I want you to really start to slow down, look at these movements as small as they are, being as worthy and crucial as they are, right? So, I don't like this. Hi, everyone. Oh. Hi there, I'm Desiree, and what I have for you is a 4-part series, all focusing on the core. So if this is your first time with me, or if you've come along for some of the other ones, right, worked so far with the upper body, the lower body, and now we're focusing on the core. We're going to tie it all together. You can do all these videos. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. If you just want to do one, awesome. That's exactly how I created them, so you can come and go as you please. But in this series, right, so first we're going to start on the ground, then we're going to move up onto the floor, or up away from the floor, standing, then we're going to move into some balancing, and then we're going to come back down and restore the body. So one thing I want you to think about is the core comprises of way more than just like the belly and the abdominal muscles, right? So we have the multifidus, which are the muscles that run up and down the spine. We have the transverse abdominals, right? Those deep abdominal muscles. We also have the glutes. We have the muscles in the hips, right? The adductors, the abductors, and then we also have the pelvic floor, right? So these things all help make up our center of gravity. So I am a Pilates instructor too, so in this series we'll be doing some cross training as well to really help strengthen and focus in on these areas to help propel us through our yoga and our other movement practices. Go ahead and close your eyes. You come into your breath. And the breath is going to be very, very, very crucial to use as you're moving through these movements. All right, so right now I just want you to start lengthening and deepening your inhales and your exhales, taking them a little slower. And then on your next inhale, I want you to think of this being a slow, steady breath in. And then as you exhale, I want you to think of engaging the belly, right? Engaging the muscles in the belly, and press the air out. Go ahead and inhale again. And this time when you exhale, make a shh sound. So that'll also help engage those muscles, right? So feel free to make that shh sound, or if you can engage on your own. Right, but that's that same sensation that you're looking for. So inhale, exhale, Take a few more rounds of breath like this, or you can return to your natural breathing. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open up the eyes. All right, let's go ahead and make our way onto our back. All right, so knees bent, feet on the floor, and then lift and lengthen the back of the head. Take the hands down by your sides, right? And then bring your attention to your hips. And actually, I'm going to have you move your hands from off the floor and bring them onto your hip points. Right, so the pelvis, right, we know that the pelvis rocks forward, away from the body, and then backward towards the body, right? So it shifts between anterior tilt, which would be that forward motion, and that posterior tilt, which would be coming back towards the spine. Right, so I want you to isolate this movement from any other movement in the body, right? So lightly press down through the feet, right? The abdominals will start to turn on, the inner thighs will start to turn on. Right, and I just want you to focus on breathing and shifting from shape to shape. Feel free to close your eyes. Right, this whole series is going to be about focus and concentration. These movements are going to be much smaller, right? Much more simpler, much more simple. All right, now we're going to come to center to find a neutral pelvis. And a neutral pelvis is really important here, especially with engaging the correct muscles to help stabilize the core, right? The core, but the spine, right? And really help give us balance and support in other parts of the body too, right? So this neutral position, right, is that in between that anterior tilt and posterior tilt, right? So you may feel a slight shallowness of the belly, the muscles start to contract and come in towards center. Right, and think of if you had like a little object, you can balance it up on the area around the navel, that it won't slide off to the left or the right, that it would just rest there. Right, now I want you to bring your attention slightly more upward onto these low ribs, right? So we're going to make this connection between the low ribs coming down towards the ground and that neutral pelvis. So this is our anchor, right? So this is how I'm going to refer to it. This is our anchor to the ground. That's going to help, again, keep us in line, right, so that we can start to move the limbs freely through these next couple of exercises. All right, now keep the left foot on the ground. Go ahead and lift the right leg up. All right, so this would be a half tabletop, right? A full tabletop would be both the legs up in this 90-degree angle. All right, so the femur comes direct, like a 90-degree angle outside of the hip socket, and then the shin is parallel to the floor. Toes are pointed and legs are firm, right? So now we're starting to incorporate this muscular action. All right, so feel free to keep your hand on the ribs and the pelvis, the hip point, right? If that helps coach you, keep that in line. Or you can take the arm down by your side or grip the edge of the mat. Whatever is going to give you more stability, right? So with this leg in tabletop, this first exercise, they're called marches. So we're going to extend the right leg down, keep that 90-degree angle, and bring the toe down, right? As if we're drawing this beautiful rainbow, right? And then bring the leg back at tabletop and then hold here. Go ahead and lower it down, bring the foot to the floor, and then we're going to switch. So bring the left leg up, toes pointed, leg firm, right? So we have this reach between the arc of the foot and the inner thigh, and then go ahead and extend the leg down. All right, now you can choose to do one leg at a time, or you can alternate between both sides, right? Or you can come up with me. We're going to come into that tabletop, right? And then we're just going to lower one leg down at a time and alternate. So you choose what works best for you. But what I want you to do and start to take into consideration is, are you breathing, right? We have that breath, right? So inhale, exhale, to lower the leg. You're going to use that breath. Okay, and then I also want you to bring the attention to the upper body, right? The chest, the heads of the shoulders. Think of the heads of the shoulders moving down away towards the floor so that the chest is soft. And check in with that anchor. Now I want you to give me one more on each side, and then we'll meet at tabletop. Right, go ahead and stay here, hold, breathe. Right, and then at the same time, lower the legs down to the ground. Keep that neutral pelvis when the feet come down. Right, and stay here. All right, extend the arms up towards the sky. Right, and then just draw the arm bones back into their sockets. Right, and then as you start to lower the arms down behind you, bring your attention to your ribs, right? So we don't want to lose that anchor, so you want to keep these low ribs down, right? And then just take the arms back as far back as you can, as close to the ground as you can, and then bring them back up. Extend the arms back behind you, and then bring them back up. So inhale, exhale, and lower. Inhale up, and then shush to come down. All right, so move through a few more rounds of these arm movements. Again, concentrate on that connection between the pelvis and the ribs. Focus on your breath. And then give me one more with the arms, and we'll meet with the arms back up. All right, Tap deep down into your core, right? Drive your attention deep in there. Lift the legs up to tabletop. All right, so I'm gonna, decide what you need to do here with the legs, right? If you wanna just keep one leg down at a time, if you just wanna focus on doing the legs, but we're gonna turn this into a dead bug. So extend the right arm back, left leg straight. All right, and then bring it back to center, and then alternate. So left arm back, right leg straight, pull back into center. All right, now just move through this. Again, focusing on the breath, concentrating on your form, on your points of connection. All right, think of a long line running from the pelvic floor all the way to the big toe, right? As if you're like shooting an arrow with the legs. And as you concentrate on that connection of the ribs and the pelvis, right, and those muscles staying connected, right, dig deep to find that length and that extension of the limbs. All right, give me one more on each side. Come back to center, lower the arms down, lower the legs. All right, plant the feet, keep that neutral pelvis, and then press the feet into the ground, lift the hips, roll up onto the shoulder blades for a bridge. So lift from the back body, so the front of the body comes up towards the ceiling or the sky. Right, and we're just contracting all of those muscles, right? So now we're going to use this bridge to recover, right? So think of, envision these muscles stretching, softening. Lower down when you get to the floor, keep that neutral pelvis. All right. So go ahead and take the legs over to the right. If your eyes aren't closed, go ahead and close them. Come back to that long, slow breath. Bring the legs back to center. Take the legs over to the right or the opposite direction. Tune into that deep breathing. Bring the legs back to center. All right, for our final movement, I'm going to give you a couple options here, right? So legs can stay bent where they are. You can take the legs straight, or you can find some place in between. If the legs are straight, you're going to keep the feet flexed. You're going to press down through the tops of the thighs, like down towards the ground, right? If the legs are bent, you're going to evenly press down through the feet, right? And you're going to have this lifting action from the inner arch of the foot all the way up to the pelvic floor, right? If the legs are straight, you're going to have that same lift also, but you're going to add that into conjunction with pressing the tops of the legs down into the ground. Wherever you are, wherever you choose to be, we are going to roll up to sit, right? So we're going to articulate the roundness and the shape of the spine. All right, so how we're going to do this, right? So get into the legs, get those actions in place, right? And then as you press down into either the feet or the legs, right, lift the chest and the head up off the ground, right? Stay here for a moment. So think of this as your body playing tug of war, and we're gonna, the center is gonna be lifting up, right? So there's this energetic movement and this muscular action of lifting up towards the pelvic floor, and the upper body moving down towards the pelvis. right? So think of that playing tug of war. So we're bringing both ends of the body in opposite directions, round through the spine, sit yourself up, take the arms out straight, and then round and fold forward to reach towards the toes. Take the head in between the arms. We're gonna pull the front body into the back body to sit ourselves back up, sit tall through the crown of the head. And then relax the legs. Come to a comfortable seat. Close your eyes. Return to that deep breathing. Shift into a natural cycle of breath. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Again, my name is Desiree. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, I would love to hear back from you. I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you again.